Political props. I mean, that's really and truly how the left kind of put it all together, right? When they were talking about Trump as Hitler and Trump as Nazi, it was the utilization of the Holocaust as political prop. As a matter of fact, I'm not quite sure how anybody sees it any other way. And now we find that the morning team of Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough, these two geniuses, these two arbiters of what is good and what is decent and what is kind and what is worthy, they have now met with Donald Trump, went to Mar-a-Lago to speak to Donald Trump. After spending the last 4 years telling you that Trump was a threat to democracy, after spending the last 4 years proclaiming without question that Trump was the enemy, that Trump was dangerous, that Trump was Hitler, that you were a Nazi and a fascist, and now, we had to talk. Oh, what are we gonna let bygones be bygones? Oh, it was it was a hard fought race. It was a hard that's all it was. That's all it was. We were just trying to get our point across. And well, you win. Come say, come saw. You win some and you lose some, and that's the way it is. Oh no! Oh no! 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 You said he was a threat to democracy. You said he was a danger. You said that the country would not remain the same. That's what you said. That's what you told us. Why in the world would we now somehow think anything else? Never once do they ask that question about not us. Not those of us on the political right. No, of their own people. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. 833-468-8669. 833 got Tony. That's the number. That's how you get to be a part of the show. It's super easy to do. I bring up this story not as a way of engaging this full discounting of the people that Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough are. And they are not intellectuals. They are not people of value. They are not people of strength. There was a time where this was the intellectual morning show. That time has come and gone. That moment well past. This was a show that was built on hate, that was built on intimidation, that was built on proclaiming themselves to be the arbiters, the good people, the people who could be trusted, the people who knew better, right? These were the people who told you that without question, Joe Biden had it all together. He's sharp, we were told. He had everything going. No problems whatsoever with Joe Biden's mind at all. That's these people. So we knew that they were frauds from the very beginning. We were fully aware. And then you find out that everything they were telling their audience, well, that was a bunch of bunk, and they knew it. Listen.
Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. My father often spoke with world leaders with whom he and the United States profoundly disagreed. That's a task shared by reporters and commentators alike.
We're just going to leave it right there. What your father did in working with the federal government is different than what you did working as a ridiculous host who has her job because she's married to the guy whose name is on the shingle. I don't know. Is it wrong to say that Mika slept her way to the top? Probably. That is probably wrong. But if it wasn't for the guy with the name on the shingle, would anybody listen to you? I don't have an answer for that question. And you could tell me, man, that is a low blow, Tony. Well, what's lower? And this is why I brought it up. Is it lower to say something as crass as you slept your way to the top? Or is it lower to have told an audience for 4 years, your life is under threat, and if you don't do something about this, your life is over, and especially if you're a woman in America, and then not more than 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks after the election, you're having coffee with them? Which one is lower to your audience? Which one is your audience going to be more offended by? Me, Tony Katz, saying that you, Mika Brzezinski, slept your way to the top when that isn't what happened, or you telling your audience 4 years nonstop, Trump is a threat to democracy since January 6, 2021, and there you are, knocking on his door, asking for his friendship. You're the Undertaker and the Godfather. Be my friend, Godfather, and the kiss. I mean, there's 100 ways you can look at this. Hey, he's the president. We got to deal with that. If that was the case, wouldn't you have applied yourself in a far different way than you did? Wouldn't you have been more honest with your audience about Joe Biden and the fact that he was not capable of doing the job? More honest about Kamala Harris and that campaign. More honest about the fact that Donald Trump was never a threat to democracy. You just didn't like him. You didn't like policy. You didn't like actions. As a person on a personal level, you found him reprehensible, which we should be clear is a completely fine thing to do. You can find him reprehensible. You can find me reprehensible. That's fine, except as a host, as a radio host, as a guy on TV, as a guy who does video, as a guy who does live performances, I deliver. You don't have to like me as a person, but if you want to go after what it is I discuss, how it is I discuss it, the subjects that I engage and how I engage with the homework that I do, you best come heavy, son. I am not here to simply be bashed around. I will fight back, and you're going to have a very hard time fighting me on the subjects that I bring. But you could have done the hard work and gone after Trump based on the data. You could have said, I don't like his personality, I'm not voting for him. But then you could have actually discussed the data. But you never did that. You said that the personality was everything. Meanwhile, Joe Biden, for his entire career, has been an obnoxious jerk. You want to talk about personalities? Let's talk about Joe Biden in the confirmation hearing of Clarence Thomas. You want to talk about people who are of low personality, of low regard? Kamala Harris referred to Joe Biden as a segregationist and then groveled to accept that VP nod. She was willing to work with a segregationist. Well, based on that, it's no wonder that Mika and Joe went to go visit Trump. You told your audience for years that he was a danger, and then you went to go meet with him. It reminds me very much of Gloria Steinem. I've discussed this before. Gloria Steinem, the feminist. Gloria Steinem, a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. Gloria Steinem, she was going to stand up. Gloria Steinem, she was encouraging all of these people, and then she got married. She got married. It was something. What was it like? What was it like for all those women? What was it like for them to learn that this person that they followed and patterned their life on had lied to them, had committed that absolute level of fraud, and everything was just a game. Hey, whatever I can do to get a couple of bucks. Hey, whatever I can do to make my life easier. What's that like? There is what is she? I mean, she's rather popular on social media, but she's I don't know if I get to call her a troll. I don't know if that would work. Her name is JoJo from Jersey, meaning from New Jersey. And she is a progressive and a leftist. I mean, she's just it's nonstop. To live this way sounds miserable to me. Just absolutely horrific. And this is what she was putting on her socials. Blank Joe and Mika, blank Morning Joe, and blank MSNBC if they keep them on the blanking air. Okay. You see, that's somebody who's a true believer and who knows that they just got duped. And for 4 years, they followed Joe Scarborough, Mika Brzezinski, and everybody else at MSNBC, thinking that they were actually on the same page, doing the same thing. But Joe and Mika were not. Joe and Mika were in the business of getting paid, son. By the way, it kills me that they make more money than I do. It kills me. Oh, such a... that's so wrong. Now, some people are true believers over there. Joy Reid is a true believer. Joy Reid is a bigot and as a hateful human, true believer. I think certainly that would be the case of Lawrence O'Donnell and some of the others, but not Mika and Joe. So I don't know which one is worse, by the way, but I gotta assume being the fraud is worse. Being a fraud and making people believe that you believed something and leading people purposefully and willfully, wantonly down a wrong path. With the others, they don't care that they lied. They'll keep lying. But Joe and Mika don't care that they lied, and they don't care that they made this move. Now, maybe more interesting is that Trump agreed to meet with them. Trump's like, yeah, sure. Let's get together. Trump has got a forgiveness streak in him that is like intense. It is kind of impressive, and I'm not a guy who's opposed to forgiveness. It's not for us to forgive Mika and Joe for their commentaries about Trump. It would be for Trump to do that, just like it would be for Mika and Joe to forgive Trump about his commentaries towards them, and not for us on the outside. We're not a part of that conversation. We only get to commentate and have thoughts about it. We're not the people who were actually in it. But Trump's good at he'll do that. And I don't know if that's perfect all the time, and I'll dig into more of that in a little bit. But Trump met with them. He was willing. But I think that the story here is much greater, right? The story of the apology is a big one, and I will dig into that. But the MSNBC audience knows that Joe and Mika lied. Just like Joe Biden lied and said that Trump this and Trump that and Trump the other. And then Trump wins and he goes, hey, Donnie. And they sit by the fire in the Oval Office. Let me shake your hand, Donnie, past president, president-elect. You know, I dealt with Donnie. He was a friend of Corn Pops. And, I gave him the old, what do you do? I don't know. I have no idea what Joe Biden would say in one of those situations behind closed doors. All I know is the picture of Joe Biden and Donald Trump. That picture is nuts. That picture says to every Democrat, hey, everything I said about Trump being a fascist and a threat to democracy is a lie. A lie. It was a fraud. And now you've got Mika and Joe saying, yeah. When someone's a threat to democracy, you don't hang out with them. That would be my general thesis that I think would be easy to go with. But it's for them to have to figure out. It's for us to remember that these networks, they are not to be trusted. The new media is our future. Radio continues to be our future. Where the honest conversation has always been is our future. And we would do well and good to leave these old beasts behind. Die the way they need to. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Oh my gosh. Look at all the anger. So much anger. Are you checking out the comments? Will and Mike. So much anger from Will and Mike, my two greatest fans. Look at that. All this dude does is bitch and whine. William, that's not true. I also make brisket. I make fantastic. Last night it was shakshukas, which is basically eggs cooked in tomato sauce, sauteed peppers and onions, and garlic. And then crushed tomatoes, or you can use diced tomatoes if you choose. And then you want cumin, cayenne, paprika, and that's simmering feta cheese. And then we do it in a big cast iron. We crack a dozen eggs into it. You're going to kind of like create a little bit of a nest and put the egg into it and then bake it. Yeah, the eggs get solid, but everything else won't get perfectly solid. But it's a fantastic mix. So I do that too. I do that too. So angry, man. Tony can't block me here, dude. You are so swing not funny, Kevin Smith. I don't know. Are you talking about Clerks, Kevin Smith? Katz is dishonest and despicable. Trump's own VP likened him to Hitler. His own chief of staff called him a fascist. I could go on at length citing Republicans, including his own team, who revile and condemn him. He is a 30s era Hitler, steadily usurping our institutions. Son, the institutions have been usurped. The DOJ, with its subsidiary, the FBI, the IRS going back to Lois Lerner, the CDC lying to you every step of the way about COVID. Those things were fine to you? Weird things. And many of his supporters are like good Germans who enable him. We are not immune from having such evil in our midst, waiting for a leader to bring it out. Okay. The dishonest and despicable guy you claim I am just shared your comment. So you might want to calm down a little bit. The theme music that I used. That song, when I introduced, that is my theme music. That's written by Gary Stephen Eaton. That's who wrote that. So I've had that for more than a decade. More than a decade right there. Hold on. More from William. Do you mean a Rush Limbaugh ripoff? Oh, that is kind. That is really sweet, William. Thanks, buddy. Wow, comparing me to Rush Limbaugh, that is a real honor. William Weaver, Weaver. Thanks, William. Can I call you Will? Can I call you Will? Bill? Billy? Billy Bob? Billy Willy Bob? Billy Bob Willy Willy? Wait, come on. We just need a pet name at this stage. Look at me. Call me Rush. That is sweet, kitten. That is really, really sweet. Thank you, Boo. Thank you. Guys, glad that you're here. Leave your comments. You can call in 833-468-8669. 833 got Tony, and we've got much more show to get to. I started there. I'm going to get into the ethics report right now. Heard in 5 there, Producer Lawrence. Sorry, Producer Landon. I gotcha. Speaker Johnson may not want the ethics report to come out on Matt Gaetz, but allow me to kind of set a stage here. The ethics report is totally going to come out on Matt Gaetz. There's not a question nor debate that this is going to happen. How in the world do you keep this from happening? Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. The ethics report is about potential sexual misconduct on former Congressman Matt Gaetz, who is the nominee from Donald Trump for Attorney General. And what Matt Gaetz what Speaker Johnson said is, quote, I'm going to strongly request that the ethics committee not issue the report because that is not the way we do things in the House. I think that would be a terrible precedent to set. Someone who is no longer a member of Congress. We are not in the business of investigating and publishing a report of people who are not a part of this institution. The Ethics Committee's jurisdiction is for sitting members of Congress. That is an important rule. He was a sitting member of Congress 2 days ago. We're not looking at somebody who was there 3 years ago. I mean, just for a bit of baseline here. I don't think he gets what he wants. I really don't. I think that this is going to get released. Certainly Democrats desperately want it released, but don't worry about them. I think Republicans do. Now, this goes into confirmation. I will get into that. But this goes into confirmation and allow me to say that while Trump can put all the pressure he wants on and can talk about recess appointments all he chooses and try and force recess appointments through adjourning both houses, what is that, Article 2, Section 3 of the Constitution, the Senate is not going to go quietly. And this is, to the extent that it's a miscalculation, Trump should not forget that all politics are local. And the one thing you can't ask of senators is not to do the basic Senate job. Advise and consent is a role of the Senate. You can't ask them not to be a part of that. At least not without some serious pushback. You can't expect it of them. And I would believe that the Senate is going to confirm the vast majority of the nominees. The two that they're going to have issue with are Gaetz, because they hate Matt Gaetz. But the one they're going to have real issue with is Robert Kennedy Jr. Because that's the one I have real issue with. My issues are actually less with Tulsi Gabbard. With RFK Jr., you've got a real, legitimate fight. And that's based on his past, his policies, his history politically. With Matt Gaetz, it's really personal. With RFK, I don't think it's personal. I think it is political. It is, I don't know if we trust this dude. I don't think we have reason to trust this dude. That doesn't mean that RFK doesn't have a place. Cabinet official, something very, very different. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. Keep it right here. This is Tony Katz Today. All right, we go into commercial break. So there, just as a matter of conversation, Walker, people freaking out over recess appointments is super weird, and I agree with you because it's constitutionally prescribed. It's constitutionally prescribed that when the president needs to have somebody in a position, that if the Senate is in recess, he can appoint someone and they will remain there until the Senate returns and can then go about deciding their validity, if you will. And I don't know if that they stay for the rest of the Senate term or not. What Trump is arguing is that Article 2, Section 3 allows, if there is a disagreement amongst the chambers, the House and the Senate, that he can himself adjourn the House and the Senate. And if the House and the Senate are adjourned for more than 10 days, he can have a recess appointment. So that is about the manipulation of the Constitution. And you better believe senators are going to be like, yeah, we're not doing that. We're not going to play the part of your bitch. We are not at all going to play that game. Don't forget that these senators have their own constituents. Don't forget that these senators have their own mind. They have their own egos, and not everybody on every subject will play second fiddle. They won't. This is the Leaf by Oscar right here. This is the Corojo that we are smoking. This is the cigar that we gave out Thursday at my event, Understanding the Election in 3 Bourbons, which was fantastic. I would like to bring it around the country. And where Republicans have a real issue, and the difference between Republicanism and Trumpism. Hold on. My favorite fan, Mike, is back. 93.1 FM WIBC, my home station, Indianapolis. What am I getting wrong? Message me with a serious response. We'll talk. Just to be clear, Mike, you referred to me as dishonest and despicable. And now you want to talk. I don't think I want that, Mikey. I don't think so. I don't think so. Let me get to some other stories here. Producer Landon, how much time do we have? Someone called in to say that Mika Brzezinski didn't sleep her way to the top. She slept her way to the lower middle. It's not a bad joke. It's not a bad joke. And by the way, she had a career. She didn't sleep her way anywhere. She found true love. But the question is, I would be told that that's a despicable, awful, terrible, rotten thing to say. Unforgivable. I would be told that that is unforgivable. They told everybody for 4 years that Trump was a threat to democracy, and now they're hanging out with him. Which one's more unforgivable? I would never be able to recover from that if I had said that seriously. How do they recover from this? How do they keep their job? I'm asking. Because I think that seems like a good. I don't want to give up my morning show gig, but if I could turn it into like 6-7 million a year, okay. There we go. Better. So another plane has been shot at. The first one was in Haiti. The second one was in Dallas. Tony Katz today. Great to be with you. Dallas Airport. Southwest Airlines plane hit by a bullet while preparing for takeoff. This is Love Field in Dallas. Dallas police confirming that they responded to a shooting just before 10 p.m. They taxied back to the terminal. It struck the right side of the aircraft just under the flight deck while the crew was preparing to depart for my beloved Indianapolis. Someone could have been hurt. No one was, and I'm happy about that, but someone could have been hurt, and someone could have been hurt very, very badly. I have often wondered, I'm not trying to encourage this kind of activity, but I'm almost surprised this doesn't happen more often. Like, there are areas in the country, around the globe, where you could stand under the plane as it's landing, like it's close, and you can feel it. And I'm like, first of all, these people are insane. One bit of wind shear, everybody's dead. That is not the way I want to go. Thank you very much. But it's always crazy to me that, like, we consider that safe. Like, I am amazed that works. That's a terrible thing to say. And I assume that plenty of airports have discussed how they're handling this every second of every minute of every hour of every day, right? How they deal with these kinds of issues. Because security is a big one. Security issues are massive. And this is the second time, the first one in Haiti, now here. These things beget other things. Security gets us to this story, as we've been talking about, the nominations and the cabinet picks from Trump. I was on Newsmax earlier today, and I mean, we were going to have that conversation. We got into a couple other conversations, but I don't know if you heard this about John Brennan talking about Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence. Now, I am not bringing this up to discuss Tulsi Gabbard. I'm bringing this up to discuss the idea of why it is people do not trust the quote-unquote experts. There is great anger with you and me for not trusting the experts, for not listening to the experts. They know what's best for us. They know what's good for us. And the problem is that you have not in any way, shape, or form accepted that they are the ones who will make our lives better. They do this a lot when it comes to doctors. And specifically, they have tried to make this claim over and over and over again. When they say, well, doctors think that gender affirming care is just fine. Show me that doctor and I'll show you the person who shouldn't be a doctor. Gender affirming care is the term they use for abusing and mutilating children. It is what it is, what it is. Don't get angry with me. It is what it is, what it is. It is mutilating and absolutely abusing children. And one cannot really argue the idea that what we see being done to these children and being done to the other children, the ones who have to suffer through, like, for example, you play in sports and you're told that you have to deal with these boys who claim they're girls playing against you in a way that is wholly and totally unfair. Because it is wholly and totally unfair. It's wrong and it's despicable. But the adults want to tell you that everything is fine. The whole thing is fine. As a matter of fact, you are an outrageous bigot for thinking otherwise. You're an outrageous bigot for saying otherwise. This was Jen Psaki, who, oh my God, makes more money than I do, trying to push the idea, just like John Oliver was on his show over the weekend, that these trans kids are not any threat and they just want to play and they don't have a physical advantage and everything is fine. Man, you want to talk about missing the mark. You want to talk about missing what they are claiming, what they are putting forth is this idea that somehow the 14-year-old girl and the 14-year-old boy aren't that different. Yes, they most certainly are. And what they are trying to do is avoid the idea that somehow you've allowed the 14-year-old girl to claim they're a 14-year-old boy, or the boy to claim that they're a girl. You allow them to lie to themselves, and that's fine. They missed this part willfully. This was Jen Psaki.
There's obviously a lot of soul searching right now going on within the Democratic Party, and that's a good thing. But what I worry about is that in the course of all that soul searching, some Democrats might reach the wrong sweeping conclusions. And there are a lot of issues that fall into that bucket. But one in particular that stuck out to me is transgender rights. Republicans spent hundreds of millions of dollars on anti-trans ads this election cycle, including one that showed Vice President Harris talking about government funding for gender-reaffirming care for prisoners and detainees. If that sounds like a particularly obscure issue, it is, because it applies to a tiny group of people.
It doesn't matter. I apologize for the microphone issue there. It doesn't matter that it applies to a tiny group of people. It doesn't matter that it applies to a small fraction of society. It is that Kamala Harris was okay with taking taxpayer dollars to let men mutilate themselves to claim that they're women. It is buying into this idea as a whole. Jen Psaki's argument is that it doesn't matter because it's so few people. Our argument is it doesn't matter if it's one. As a taxpayer, I shouldn't have to pay for it. And oh, by the way, it is mutilation. And now when you talk about adults, I guess an adult can mutilate themselves, although I don't think we should be so proud about it and happy about it as a society as a whole. But children can't. They can't. And it's very obvious that she's using this as a way to build that conversation.
And it's also a policy that, by the way, was in place during the first Trump presidency. Another one of the lines that ran over and over again in those ads and throughout right-wing media is this idea that America is faced with a crisis of boys playing in girls' sports. Now, these ads created this perception that the issues of trans kids playing sports was dominating schools across the country, which is completely false.
If it's happening in one school, it's one school too many. If it's happening in one school, it's one school too many. Because wherever that school is, that boy took the spot of a girl. I want to know why, from Jen Psaki, why that's okay. Why is it okay for girls to be pushed to the sidelines like that? Why does Jen Psaki hate women? And she can laugh it off all she wants, but the question remains. And until she answers it, get it straight. Jen Psaki hates young women, and Jen Psaki does not want young women in sports. You can quote me. My name is Tony Katz. It's spelled Katz. I'm happy to discuss it anywhere at any time. I'm not the one who has this issue. Jen Psaki is.
Some people got pulled into that argument. I mean, immediately after the election, Congressman Seth Moulton told the New York Times that, quote, Democrats spend way too much time trying not to offend anyone rather than being brutally honest about the challenges many Americans face. I have 2 little girls. I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a male or formerly male athlete. But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that. And then last weekend, Congressman Moulton came on this network to discuss those comments.
I was just speaking authentically as a dad about one of many issues where I think we're just out of touch with the majority of voters.
And they are out of touch with the majority of voters. And I am not a fan of Seth Moulton of Massachusetts. However, his party then referred to him as a Nazi because that's what you do when you disagree with somebody. You don't think children should be mutilated, and you don't think your daughter should have to play against boys, which is a very standard, acceptable thing in a level of organized sports. You don't think your daughter should lose a position to a boy. There's a boys' team for that. And their argument is, how dare you? First, before we go on, let me be clear. I dare, and you should dare too. If this is the argument that the Democratic Party wants to have going into 2026 and 2028, let them. I think that's freaking fantastic. Great. I love winning in 2026 and 2028. I think it is sensational that we're going to win in 2026 and 2028. Go on. Keep having this conversation. Keep having the conversation that somehow and in some way boys can be girls. Go on, Jen Psaki. Make this the hill that you die on. Politically, of course. You and the rest. Go ahead. You and The View, you and Alex Wagner and Nicole Wallace and whoever you get from CNN and Lord only knows from The Nation, make this the hill. You guys are okay with abusing children. The rest of us, the normies, we think that's weird. You'll notice none of this is about taking out any anger on these kids. who may be confused, who may need help, who certainly need love and affection, and care, but not mutilation and not pills and not chemicals that will forever alter them. You should love children enough not to do that to them. I've got more on the Jen Psaki stuff, but I said I was going to bring up John Brennan because this was a conversation about expertise. Well, there are doctors who will tell you that gender-affirming care is so very necessary. Otherwise, these children will commit suicide. No, they are mentally disturbed, and that's why they think about suicidal thoughts and ideation. The idea that you should let them feed into their mental illness is despicable and irresponsible. Despicable and irresponsible is those people who have already violated the public trust, and you bringing them on as an expert to tell us who we're supposed to trust. John Brennan is one of those people, former director of the CIA, that communist, back in his day. He's the one amongst many who said, oh, the Hunter Biden laptop, that's Russian disinformation. Here, let me sign a letter. Russian disinformation. And here he is talking about the possibility of Tulsi Gabbard as director of national intelligence.
So let me just start with Tulsi Gabbard, because you served as the CIA director for 4 years. What would having her in charge or in the role of director of national intelligence mean for the intelligence apparatus of the U.S. government?
I think there's so much uncertainty about what Ms. Gabbard would bring to the job. As you pointed out, she has been an apologist for Vladimir Putin and Bashar al-Assad. So many of her substantive comments, as well as previous actions, have called into question whether or not she has a good understanding of global politics and the U.S. role there. But also, she doesn't have any experience in intelligence. She has never served in the intelligence community.
Good. Again, expertise is everything, right? Expertise is the only thing. The problem with the intelligence community might very well be those who serve in the intelligence community and their failures. Constant and consistent and ongoing. Maybe fresh blood is what is desperately needed. John Brennan's entire mathematics is you need someone from the inside because only somebody from the inside knows how the thing is run. But the problem is the people on the inside. This is the problem with expertise. They circle the wagons for each other. And things never get better. I'm not down with every Trump pick. And I have real questions about Tulsi Gabbard. And I think those questions are going to get asked in a confirmation hearing. But you want to tell me that she's not capable because John Brennan said so? That lying, hypocritical fraud? Nah. I'll pass on that expert. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Thank you, producer Landon. Yeah, it's like right there. I got the haircut, but it's not staying. It's super annoying me. Super annoying. Let's go to the comments, guys. Good to be with you. Whatever you do, don't trust Joe and Mika. They've been horrible to President Trump. Wait, hold on. Dory, first of all, hey, I have known one Dory in my whole life. In my whole life. So you're number two. Secondly, I'm not about to trust them. I just want to get paid like them. That is it. Now, if I have to sell if I sell my soul to do it, no, I'm not doing that. And Jennifer, I appreciate you being here. I don't know what you're agreeing with 100%. And I assume that's agree and not agree. Because if it's a gi, I have questions. I have to go search that up on Urban Dictionary or something. But I am glad that you agree 100%. I appreciate that. I appreciate that quite a bit. All right, what are we getting into? Oh, yes. Because this economy is just fine. Hold on a second. This just in. No, it is not. No, it is not. Let me grab this right here. I'll do it like that. Boom. Good. And then we'll bring this in. So yeah, we're getting better at the stream. All right. And I think it's because I think this is as good as the production value as I'm going to do. Like, do I need to do better than this? Do I need to get the soft lighting and the $82,000 camera? And I mean, is this enough? It's just a little behind the scenes, or does it have to be? It does, doesn't it? Dang it. All right. We're gonna have to figure that out. And I gotta figure out what to put here. Right. So I have these signs, right? I've got like this is me right here. And then for the Cigar and Bourbon show, hold on a second. I've got this one, right? Eat, drink, smoke. And I can put that here, but my head is there. And then you see the light and everything else. And I don't know. Like, does that work? Like, is that good? Like, here. You know? How I don't know. They're pretty big. They're like canvas and they're wood and giants. So I got to put something here. And maybe what goes here, whoever the sponsor is of the month, this whole thing, we got like a fat head of them. A fat head for the sponsorships. I don't know. And what do you charge? I don't know. Right? Bongino charges more than me, but he also has a larger online following than I do. So, okay. So what do I charge? Don't charge anything? No, I'm going to charge. Don't be ridiculous. I don't know. I don't have the answer. If you have the answer, I'm all ears. I will get into the story about General Motors coming up a little bit. What are you talking about? Theme from Romeo and Juliet. What do you? I don't know what that is. What is the theme from Romeo and Juliet? That's not our theme music. My theme music is my theme. Maybe it's something we played later. Oh, this is nice. This Corojo, Leaf by Oscar. Honduran. According to Sarah, who runs all our digital, my hair's getting cut off, so I have to back this up. Hold on. Watch this. How's that? See, now I'm all fuzzy. Now I'm all blurry. Ah, Sarah. Look what you did. Don't get in my head when I'm doing the show. Let's see. Can I adjust it? Can I adjust it? I'll come real close. Just go so. And why isn't it auto adjusting? I hear your music in 5. I'm going to come real close now because Sarah messed it all up. Oh, that's too much. There are good headlines and there are bad headlines. And then there's this headline. General Motors slashing 1,000 white-collar jobs in cost-cutting move to, quote, focus on top priorities. Yeah, the priority is profitability. That's the priority. Tony Katz today. I bring this up because everything we're seeing about this economy, people feel that with Trump, things will be better. That's about consumer confidence. Reality is more and more companies seem very much like they're gearing up for bad times in 2025 because Trump will not be able to make this all turn around on a dime. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. This is Tony Katz today. All right, and I did all that to adjust the camera, and now I'm going to go. I mean, I could stream the second hour. No, I can't. I think it's just going to be an hour. I think what we're going to have to do is you tell me if this looks all right. You tell me on Twitter You tell me in the comments. Tony@TonyKatz.com. Feel free. For the trolls I have, you're welcome back anytime until you get ridiculous, in which case you'll be gone, and that's all there is to it. I'm not going to spend any time worrying about that. And sponsorships for right here now available. Right there. Right in this spot here. I appreciate you guys so very much. Find everything I do at TonyKatz.com and follow on X and follow on the Twitter. And I will catch you guys tomorrow. Take care.